Welcome, everybody, to Roundtable Live for May 11th, 2018. I'm Bear Taffy, joined by Rockley Smile, Northern Lion, Mathis Games. Hello.
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 Hi.
Hello.
Oh, wonderful. You seem like you're in a particularly happy mood today, Nick.
That's because I'm a book now.
Oh, that's cool. Explain it, please. I want to be in on it.
All right, it's a really easy one, actually. So in Mount Your Friends 3D, there's little stickers you unlock, right? And there's a sticker that kind of looked a little like Ryan as a book. And so I said, look, it's Ryan as a book. And then we spammed it, and then he got permission to make an emote out of it. And then I also had someone draw one. Well, someone happened to draw one. And now we both have books.
WDW. Now I get it.
That's also from Mount Your Friends.
Yeah, okay. I was there for that one time.
It's a meme machine.
Well,
How you doing there?
That's a good meme. I'm good. I'm feeling better now that I'm in on the in joke. Like I was feeling so left out and excluded before, but now it's all better. Hopefully you can hear me today as well, chat. I believe we've got the audio balance all figured out. Apologies for the weird episode last week, but hey, we got it. We fixed it. We're ready to go, and we're ready to talk about other stuff here for this week, for this episode of Roundtable Live, where we talk about video games, the news surrounding the industry, and then just sometimes we dig deep into the pressing topics, the things that bring us back to our humble centers, you know? Like Fudge. I love Fudge. Don't you guys love Fudge? I had some earlier today. I've forgotten how good it is. Like,
did it have stuff in it?
No, just pure. Like my mom has this, like a great grandmother's passed down recipe for just pure old chocolate fudge. It's just, it's so good. It's so good, guys.
Isn't fudge? It's just like baked butter.
Yeah, it is with chocolate in it though.
Last time my mom was here, I guess fudge is like the most momish food.
I think so.
I looked at the ingredient list and it was like butter, sugar, and then oven, and like that's it. That's all it needs.
my NLSS sense just tingled when you said the most momish food. I'm like, we're about to start a debate about what the most momish food is, but we're not on that show right now.
Well, the gears started turning for me too. So I mean, like, just hot fire round. Just toss out first thing that comes to mind. I mean, hot chocolate was immediately what came to mind as soon as I said most
momish food.
Most momish food, chicken noodle soup.
Well, that's like particularly if you're feeling under the weather. That's
but moms dispense it though regularly.
Yeah. Chat, what's the most momish food? I've got you open for the first time in a while. I'll let you get involved in the heated debate here. But we've also got other things to talk about on the docket today for Roundtable Live. Twitch has introduced a new bounty board program. We're going to be discussing what is going on with that. The Night in the Woods developer, I had his name here and I just lost it, Scott Benson, is quoted as saying, the reason we're killing ourselves isn't because we love what we're doing. There's a crunch work culture in the industry that is becoming a much more pressing matter, so we'll be discussing that today as well. The Humble Monthly Bundle next month will include Destiny 2, and some folks are also a little unhappy with the content of the new DLC for that game, so we're just going to briefly discuss what's going on with that. And then we'll be talking a little bit about what we've been playing this week, and that'll pretty much wrap it up. Not a ton to discuss this week, not a lot of new games that we've been playing extremely recently. We had the Council episode 2 that we were going to talk about this week, but there's an embargo on it, unfortunately, so we're going to have to hold off on that one until next show.
We got barged.
We got barged. Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes we get barged, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to abide by the barg.
Yep.
Abide by the Barg is the name of my indie rock band. Absolutely. All right. Oh, and another thing too, right at the top of the show here is what we'll talk about. The new Nintendo Switch Online pricing plans, which have been announced, and some more details about Nintendo Switch Online, the new service that will be launching in September 2018. So, if you weren't familiar, the Nintendo Switch has been providing online play services for free for those of you who have been playing things such as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, ARMS, etc., etc. You've been playing online for free, and you've been enjoying that service already, and it's been great. However, that was just the trial run for Nintendo's online offerings, and they will turn into a paid service come September 2018. So just be aware of that. If you're playing online right now, you will have to pay to do so very, very soon. Details about the pricing plans for these Nintendo Switch Online memberships are actually pretty damn reasonable, in my opinion. I'm pretty happy with what they're offering. You can get 1 month for $4, $3.99 USD, 3 months for $7.99, and 12 months for $19.99. So $20 for a year of Nintendo Switch Online. Pretty good.
They knew they couldn't compete with the regular pricing of, PS.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't want to go directly there, but that's that's pretty much what it boils down to. Is they know they've got to be at a bit of a discount compared to the big boys. Although, I mean, there are a few games that I feel pretty comfortable paying, like $40-50 a year to continue to enjoy Mario Kart or Mario Kart 8 Online, for example. Like, that is maybe a justifiable expense for me, but I feel a lot better only having to pay $20 a year for that. That's extremely easy to swallow.
What are they gonna have releasing around the time when you need to start paying? Because that feels like a marquee, important moment for them to have something to sell it with.
Mario Tennis Aces.
Is that it?
Probably coming out around then. Let me have a Google sesh here real quick.
It dawned on me, there's actually not much I'm looking forward to right at this very moment on the Switch coming up. I'm sure there will be stuff announced at E3 and such, but I'm not like keyed in on anything right now.
Oh yeah, the Monster Hunter that they're porting is going to be pushed over.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Smash Brothers for the holidays.
Smash, right? Okay, that was an obvious one actually.
There you go.
Tennis Aces is coming out in June, so that's
that's next month.
I know.
I'm actually
great.
really excited for it. I like that they're letting you play, like, they have the 2 modes where they got the typical Mario Tennis mode with power-ups, and then, like, the pure rules mode if you don't want any nonsense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, too. I haven't played a good tennis game in a while. Now I'm trying to think about that, actually. What was the last tennis game I played that wasn't in like Dave
Mario Tennis
or something? Mario Tennis, probably Mario Tennis, yeah.
On the N64.
I played for the Wii, probably, too, yeah.
A lot of Top Spin on the original Xbox. That game is good.
Actually. Yeah, I played a fuck ton of Top Spin.
Nothing wrong with that game.
I remember, didn't they make one for the 360 that was not very good?
They did make Top Spin 2 for the 360, I think.
I think it was very early in the 360's life.
Rockstar table tennis count? Because I played quite a bit of that, actually.
That was a good game, too, actually.
That was one of those, like, tech demos made game kind of thing.
Yeah. It was fun, though. I mean, it was well made. That's like the Rockstar trivia that you can throw in every once in a while. Like, name the least played Rockstar title?
Oh, God.
I wonder if there's one least played more so than that.
Maybe.
You know what?
I don't know.
Oh, what was that game?
We're digging deep into this tangent now, but I like
it. The least played Rockstar game. Was Oni Rockstar?
It was Bungie.
No, Oni's Bungie.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Someone in the chat said Oni. I was like, wait, no.
I don't think so. I mean, how many people played Bully? That was not that popular, right?
I think it was actually more popular than you'd think. At the time, I remember having a ton of pre-orders for it at GameStop.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, same. I remember not being able to rent it right away from GameStop because every single copy was bought. It
was still riding the, I think, Vice City hype, right? Like anything by Rockstar was hot at the time still.
Oh, sure. I think Beard Wizard has it. I would say the Warriors probably.
I don't even know what it is. Okay, so you probably got a winner there.
They played so many ads for that on GameStop TV.
Yep. I was like, I remember that game. I remember that. Yeah.
Come out and play. Shut up.
Cha-chink.
You might be right, though. That might be the least played.
Oh, it is actually based on the movie. Okay, yeah. That was when I was wondering. Snap.
No, it's based on the basketball team.
It's a pretty generic title, man. Come on. Like the Warriors could be literally anything. Anyway, yeah, back to the Nintendo Switch Online stuff. So the $20 a year pricing is pretty impressive. Of course, it doesn't just include the ability to play online, though. They're touting the Save Data Cloud backup. Ooh, boy. Along with the new Nintendo Switch Online app, which will probably limit your experience a little bit more than it's going to boost it, but we'll see how that goes. But the other big offering that they're going to have along with this is Nintendo Entertainment System offerings of NES games. 20 NES games will be included with your Nintendo Online Service subscription. I don't want to give feedback right now, sorry. Included with those 20 games will be such wonderful, beloved classics as soccer, tennis, Ice Climber. So if you were wondering what the last great tennis game is, now you're going to be able to play it on your Switch. I even got the snap in there. You hear that?
If you're wondering what the first bad tennis game is,
I guess
you'll be able to play it.
Dr. Mario, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, all the things you probably expect are going to be included in there as well. So classic NES games on the Switch. And of course, you'll be able to play those with the nunchucks. I guess you can't call those nunchucks. What do you call the little remote things now? You call
Joy-Cons?
them like Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't know, man. I like that they're kind of throwing in some NES games, but I hate the fact that they're getting rid of the Virtual Console.
I was going to bring that up also. That's a really strange move when this system is basically perfect for that.
Nintendo does this a lot. Like they make things, let them go for like 3 or 4 years and then get rid of them, which is like, it's a lot stranger than the norm for especially online based stuff. It's for them to not really give them a chance to establish longevity, you know, like they just sort of cut the strings immediately.
I don't understand why they don't just like give both options. Like you subscribe to their monthly or yearly or whatever plan and you get access to the NES games. And there's also the Virtual Console that people who, even if you are subscribed or not subscribed, can just directly buy the games that you want. So you can just have options. It just feels like you're not, like you're leaving money on the table at that point.
It does feel like that. Like it's obviously there's a reason for it that we're not seeing for them to, you know, maybe they're rediverting resources within the company that we're focused on the Virtual Console that are not going to be focused on something else, or et cetera, right? But
Chat's saying they might just be renaming it, that it's not actually going away. They're just changing the form that it comes in. And if that's the case, then sure, whatever, that's great. This should be like the big explosive release of the finally properly done Virtual Console, in my opinion. This is the chance for them to finally right all the wrongs, update the goddamn libraries so there's not like 5 games on one system sometimes. Make some proper releases. You
maybe
know,
lower the prices a little on.
Maybe lower the prices a lot actually, because like how many times you really buy Super Mario 3? I think 5 is
now it's free, so hopefully never again.
Hopefully.
Yeah. You know, it's quite surprising. Again, like what was it was Me World, I think was what it was called, the thing they recently shut down that was, you know, like another one of those. Miitomo, that's right. Yeah, that was another one of those like
yeah, but that was like, I remember Miitomo came out and for the first 3 or 4 months everybody was playing it. And then the fact that you couldn't just connect to random people online meant your pool of friends on Miitomo stayed pretty much where it was on day 1. Unless you had a wide social media presence, obviously. So most normal people did not have a wide pool of people to get in their Miitomo game. So stalled out very quickly.
They also said that the NES games, I don't know if it's all of them, but some of them will feature online connectivity. So you'll be able to play 2-player with other people. I don't know if is that great or is that like, okay?
Yeah,
what do you think?
Why not?
That's
I
great.
think that's a good idea.
It's certainly going to be dependent. I mean, like, really, the only example I can think of, even based on the list of games they have available, is playing Dr. Mario against people online, and it's novel but not exciting at all. Like, I'm not going to do it. But
the only reason I'm not even like super excited is because like, are they diverting a ton of resources for this? Because if so, it doesn't feel like a huge deal to me. But you know, to each his own, I guess.
Yeah, it's just sort of at my stage of Switch ownership, like I just kind of am accepting that the online service is going to turn into a paid thing, and I'm again, it's easy to swallow the cost of $20 a year, and I just look at these games as like, okay, that's nice of them to do, but it's not appealing to me in any way. I'm never going to touch them, but it is certainly cool at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough to, you know, like really get into more detail about whether or not it's worthwhile as an investment, because it's just sort of, you have to do it if you want to play online anymore. It's got to be done.
Yep.
So, there we go. I'm trying to look through the FAQ real quick as well to see if there's maybe anything I'm forgetting about, but I'm not seeing too much. So
I think you got most of it.
Yeah, there's a family group option as well. There you go. Cool. So Switch Online pricing details are up now. That'll be in September of 2018 is when that launches. Let's talk about the new Bounty Board program on Twitch.
Sure.
Bounty Board is a way for creators to browse and accept paid sponsorship opportunities, aka bounties, directly from their Twitch dashboard. With Bounty Board, Twitch handles the relationship with the brand and finds sponsorship opportunities for you. Twitch will also handle your payments so you can concentrate on streaming and growing your community. So in a very simplified format, this is Twitch getting in between the content creators and the people offering sponsorships.
Correct.
So they're trying to establish a way for them to be able to get a cut of things and be involved with it. But also, I mean, at the same time, it's good if they can provide streamers with an effective platform and an effective means by which to filter through and accept sponsored stream opportunities.
Yeah.
So I'm positive in general. I think that's kind of easy to see. But I know, Mathis, you were a little mixed on this one, so I want to hear your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I'm a little mixed on it. It's not the Twitch getting in between the streamers and the companies that really bothers me, because I can see why Twitch wants to do that and whatever. They did it with bits and donations, and it's not going to stop other streamers from reaching beyond the bounty board
right,
and whatnot. My concern more or less lies with the idea that depending on the companies that get in on the ground floor and how this works, there's going to be a minimum now. And what I mean by that is a company can go to a bigger streamer and be like, okay, we wanted to offer you this deal. And the streamer's like, well, here's how much I'm worth. And then the Twitch, the company goes, well, on the Twitch bounty board, we're paying this rate and we can get a bunch of other people. So now they can go and back to the bigger streamers who may have a bigger influence in that particular genre, or has a bigger audience, and say, well, if you don't want to go with our rate, we're going to go ahead and just pick up a bunch of other streamers off the bounty board and basically undersell through the bounty board. Because
they should,
now
there's right?
Should they?
They absolutely should do that.
That's capitalism for you.
Yeah, but a streamer should also know their worth and not undersell themselves just because a bounty board exists where a bunch of affiliates can grab a bunch of deals.
Did you see the example they gave? Because they put up the one example of someone could play Call of Duty World War II for an hour, and if they reach the marked viewership that they ask for, you'll get $100.
Your typical concurrent viewer count is how they
right. And if you don't make the viewership number, and even if you stream past that amount of time or anything like that, it's strictly based on the viewership. You'll get a percentage of what you would have gotten if your viewership does not meet the target.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that's kind of an interesting way to set it up.
Yeah.
Especially with what Mathis was just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I never really considered the possibility that, you know, like companies would attempt to use it to undercut people. But at the same time, I look at it as like, if you know your worth, then you know your worth. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but like I turn down people who don't want to pay me my rate for VO stuff because I don't have to do it. You know, it's like, and that's the same thing that streamers will do, is they don't want to do certain things, so they're not going to. And if they don't get paid enough, they're not going to do it.
Out of curiosity, tomorrow, a voice actor's bounty board hits a website. Now all of a sudden your rates get flatlined because of the bounty board. How would you react?
Well,
to that?
how do you think that is, though? Do you think there's necessarily even a direct correlation? And like maybe even use it analogously too, and say that like, okay, so is every streamer going to be impacted by this bounty board thing in that way?
I mean, again, it's all speculation right now, right? We don't know. I think it would be stupid for the companies not to try and leverage this bounty board in their favor, though. Pay less rates, get the same exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't know. I actually think this is kind of dangerous for streamers.
Really?
Like the more popular it becomes, and if there's always going to be a bounty available, I think you really run into the issue that, like, you know, if you're big enough to be consistently getting sponsorship offers and you're going to the bounty board every day or, you know, a couple times a week now, I really think that starts to run the risk of eroding the community that got you to where you are in the first place.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
That's not what I'm saying.
I think that's what the danger is. So, like, I'm not really concerned that somebody out there who's willing to take $100 an hour for a sponsorship deal is going to be taking anything out of my bottom line.
Yeah.
It's like, if they that gets to the point, I think, where not all sponsorship deals are deleterious, but a lot of them, especially with like the frequency that some people take them, I think they start to be, you know, you're basically robbing your tomorrow to take that income today.
I mean, that's a whole nother worry, I think, to worry about, especially for newer streamers who may see this and leap on it immediately because they see this as their opportunity to start making real money.
Right.
That's going to kill your audience fast because nobody wants to watch a streamer where all they do is stream sponsored content.
This is actually just a trap for those people. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, 100%. Like I kind of just assumed that most people had that understanding of, you know, like, and that seemed like that. I mean, no, like I permission to elaborate further on it too, because it's certainly worth talking about. But at the same time, like from what I see, especially and like within maybe just the circle of influence that we all connect to on Twitch, I see so many people that are so dead set on community and focused on making their Twitch community like the heart of their channel experience. And it seems like common sense then to me that those people would look at this and be like, okay, I need to be careful here. I need to make sure that anything that I accept or that anything I do is going to and that sort of goes in line with why they want you to be able to maintain your typical concurrent viewer count too, is because they want you, I assume, to pick things that will fall in line with what you typically play or that makes sense for you as a streamer. Like, I guess I give people maybe too much credit there, but
yeah, well, the reasoning all makes sense
about it.
I'd see the opposite, honestly. A lot of the people that I've noticed have chased sponsorships very aggressively.
Yeah.
And
Really,
they will jump on anything that they think is at least reasonable pay for not a lot of work. And, you know, playing Call of Duty for an hour for $100, I think for a lot of people sounds pretty damn compelling. I would guess anyway.
I suppose I may have a little bit of a rose-tinted view of the whole thing, because I do personally vet things very strongly and like want to do things that, like, I've done a couple things that I wasn't thrilled with and that were like kind of left me with a sour taste in my mouth afterwards. I was like, okay, I wasn't really having fun with that. I didn't really feel good trying to convince people I was, you know. So like I very strongly oppose getting into circumstances like that again now. So maybe it just comes with experience, I guess, before you start to realize more that that's not something you should do, is try to, like, again, to steal the phrase from me, you know, like steal from, I don't even remember what you said, but you said it before, so people can just recall that. But it's not worth it. And it's not worth it on multiple levels at the same time. So I feel personally that it's not worth concern, but again, it's probably the experience talking.
That's why I think it's a trap for the people that aren't experienced. They're going to fall into that particular position.
That's, I think, why I don't care. Like, if somebody's willing to, and again, you could apply this needlessly reductively to like any sponsorship deal ever. But if people are willing to be like, yeah, I'll take less than a comparable streamer in order to stream sponsored content, like, I'm happy to take your viewers, honestly. Because I feel like the secret, and I'm not sure why, when I've seen people discussing the bounty board, nobody's talking about this. Like, you're not going to hit your average viewer count doing sponsored content. It just doesn't happen. Like, I mean, even if whenever I do sponsor stuff, I try not to put it on an NLSS day, because then it feels like you're ripping content that people followed you for in order to just make some more money yourself, which in maybe moderation could be fine. But like, then you push it to like a different day that you don't normally stream, people are like, 40% of people are just not going to show up to begin with, because they're cynical about it, which is fine. So I feel like if you have, like, let's say you have 1,000 concurrent viewers on average, like, I'm pretty sure if you played Call of Duty for an hour and you normally, you're supposed to get $100 for it, you probably end up with like 400 or 500 viewers or something like that. So, and
probably get $40 or $50 proportionally.
Yeah, exactly. So you're actually like almost cutting even the bounty board in half, I think.
Yeah, I am going to be very curious to see what sort of proportional percentage they're talking about, because if it is just directly in line with, like, if you get 25% of your normal viewing audience, you get paid 25% of what the bounty offers, then I think that's pretty reasonable. But if they're talking about, like, okay, if you don't hit your concurrent viewer count, then we're going to give you the proportional percentage, which is like 5% of the original total or something like that, which they could do. Like, they could get away with that, but obviously people would, throw up the red flag on it right away. But that it is within the language they've used perfectly valid. So we'll see.
And I just wanted to make one more point, I think, regarding that it might erode your viewership because other people are trying to get these deals. I see it as sort of like comparative to a graphic designer who has like a career or has a studio and is well known versus a Fiverr page where somebody's hey, I just want a very quick deal done. And, you're not expecting much from it. You're just trying to play the numbers, essentially, versus someone who's got a reputation. And maybe those two things can coexist, but I kind of see them as almost mutually exclusive, if not actually.
Well, I mean, it's like the same thing. There's already like informal bounty boards. Like, there's streamers out there, and this is not to denigrate them or talk down to them, but they'll play whatever you send them a code for. Like, if you just take the like bare minimum level of sponsorship, you give them a code, they'll play it, and they're not going to hit the viewer counts that are going to push you to like the top of the Twitch front page or anything like that. But like, there's already a certain race to the bottom involved here. So I don't know. I find myself untroubled because I think, without being disrespectful to Twitch, I see it very similar to like the Twitch affiliate program. Not Twitch affiliates, but like affiliate sales on games like DLC and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm like, we could talk about it for 2 hours, but it doesn't matter if nobody's ever using it.
No one's touching it.
Yeah. Until I see like a proliferation of like Twitch bounty board stuff, it's kind of hard, I guess, to gauge the consequences.
Right.
But I think I've actually made like $2.50 from game sales.
Wow.
I think I make more for my Spreadshirt shop that's been sitting there dead for 3 years.
Like if I'm buying something, when I was buying like Rainbow Six, the season pass for it, I waited until like a friend was streaming it and then I bought it off of them. Nice. And I was like, you know, you get, and that's like a rare situation because I'm buying a $60 product through your link.
You had to go out of your way and like deliberately plan to do it too.
And they made something like $275 or $375. So you're like, considering the infrequency of that, I still think back to the conversation we had on the podcast for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, man, that was a waste of time.
It can add up though. I mean, my GMG partnership is it's not like profitable. It's not making me a lot of money, but it's certainly not hurting either.
Yeah.
If a big game comes out and like 20 people decide to buy it off of that, sure, there's you know, $15-20, whatever.
I'm not going to complain about money, but obviously, but like at the same time, you're right in that it's certainly not as significant if no one uses it. So it's maybe not worth so much fret just yet.
And somebody had asked, is there any like stipulation regarding these? Like, do you have to say certain things? Are there targeted words or anything? The only stipulation was just don't badmouth the game. It said you can be critical, but don't just bash it.
Yeah.
Right.
You can share your authentic opinion of the content, even if it's not entirely positive. However, be mindful of the difference between constructive feedback, which is welcome, and mean-spirited bashing, which is not. So there you go.
And you have to have your VODs available because they use that to confirm that you did it.
Oh, that's interesting too. Okay. So I wonder if you can change that. Can you make it so that only one particular VOD is accessible to non-subscribers if you have it set that way? I wonder.
No.
You can, huh?
So, pretty certain no is the answer to that.
So that would require then some people to actually unlock
make them public.
Broadcasts. Yeah, that's really
unless they Twitch themselves don't care if it's private. Maybe they
don't. Yeah. And then, of course, they require you to disclose it as well, which that's a legal thing now. So
I just take that for granted. That
you got to put sponsored in the title.
Is this a sponsored stream? I don't know.
Not today.
Only sponsored by our patrons.
Yes.
Right.
Always. Hey.
Patreon.com/roundtable. Do you like the show? You should give us a few dollars a month if you like it. Thanks. Hey.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's the Twitch bounty board stuff. We'll see more about that as things begin. It's currently in closed beta, and they sent out invites. I believe all of us got an invite too, right? So we're
I'm on the back list right now.
We should be able to get more info about it pretty soon. We'll see what sort of listings they have available, and we'll tell you all about it. All right, let's talk about overwork culture in the video game industry. It's a topic that we've brushed on a few times, sort of just tangents from other conversations, but I think it's worth taking a few minutes today to discuss. And there's a particular PC Gamer article that brought this up for me this week too. So again, PC Gamer discusses with Scott Benson. I keep losing the damn name. Scott Benson, Night in the Woods developer, who has recently been winning a bunch of awards. The Night in the Woods team has been praised and received a lot of critical admiration, and I think deservedly so. And Nick, of course, was the benefactor, the bestower of the Game of the Year for 2017 last year to it. So, you know, the only one that gets issued, and it's from our show. So Night in the Woods for that.
The official seal will now be displayed on all retail copies on the shelf. Yes.
Are they in retail? I don't think
they are. I hope they are, but I don't think they are.
But anyway, the article here, unfortunately, is a little less heartwarming than me talking about how well received Night in the Woods has been. Because in order to make such an impressive product, they kind of had to kill themselves or nearly kill themselves to get it done. Quoted as saying, people are going to die if this crunch work culture continues in the industry. It's just getting worse and worse. So another quote here from him, it says, the reason we're killing ourselves isn't because we love what we're doing. That's the thing we tell ourselves and tell people. We're just so passionate about it. But I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I don't kill myself over them. The reason we're killing ourselves is money and deadline. It's money and deadlines. It's these material constraints, which is like we all know that. We all expect that that is what's going on behind the scenes, is that they have to keep meeting these deadlines and people want to make money and make it quickly. So they have to push forward to be able to get it done. Like, we assume that. But to hear it so brazenly from someone who is in a leading position at an indie studio that is now getting a lot of attention, a lot of the spotlight, and to hear that, like, they really had to go into the grind, like multiple 80+ hour work weeks, it seems like, you know, staying on the weekends, anything you can think of to get this thing done. And it seems like that's a much more common pattern these days. This is not the first we've heard of this. This is like, it's a theme now. It's basically every big indie release is like, here's the article talking about how 4 indie devs died and 3 of them were pissing in a jar while developing this game. It's like, that's not what we want. We shouldn't want that, at least. And I assume that if people were more aware of the fact that this was happening, they would probably discourage the behavior. But at the same time, it's kind of become a necessity, because it's an industry that is very difficult to stand out in now. And if you want to strike while the iron's hot, maybe you just got to work doubly hard or twice as fast. What do y'all think? It's a
bit of a conflict of interest, right?
Absolutely.
Like, in the instance where the people who are to make the money, the publisher usually, or whoever's putting pressure on the developers to meet these deadlines, they're the ones that are the most concerned with the monetary return.
Yeah.
Whereas the public, the consumers of this product, you know, obviously most people just want the developers to be well. They don't want them to have to suffer this. But that's where the conflict of interest comes in play, where, you know, it's not the same people that are pushing for this thing because they don't have that same return. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like, I don't know. I disagree with that to some extent. Because like, what an indie developer, like, who are they beholden to? Like, there's no one with an equity share in the Night in the Woods people that's like, get this deadline hit or you're fired, right? Like, that's, I'm not saying that they brought it upon themselves, but I take issue with that to some extent. Like, I think crunch is more of like an endemic culture in this particular industry because of the pressure put on themselves on the indie side. Consumers, I don't think they care about the developers by and large. I think they want good games as quickly as possible. And then that pressure like feeds up to the developers who are like, I absolutely have to fix this or I'm going to get like negative review bombed on Steam or like in the comments on Kotaku or something.
The thing about Night in the Woods in particular, you got to remember, is that it was a Kickstarter funded project, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Maybe they're not beholden to a publisher, and they kind of were in this circumstance because they did have somebody that was publishing the game for them. I don't know if they were like necessarily holding their noses or holding them to the grindstone, but they had Kickstarter backers that, you know, if they delay the game, which they did, that's, in his own words, it's seen as a mortal sin. You know, like, you, in that world, you cannot be justifiably delaying something that people assume that they have paid for. You know, like, it's difficult to do, and we see that all the time.
In this specific instance, I think I made about the worst example possible, since they are actually beholden to the people who are planning to buy it directly.
Well, yeah, and no, like that particularly, it's true. But no, I think the original point had merit still.
I wonder how much that is endemic to the business, or how much of that is endemic now that Kickstarter is a thing. Because when now that Kickstarter is a thing, people are expecting and breathing down their necks from literally like the inception of the idea of the game. Where most of the time, you know, before that, you don't hear about the game until it's already halfway done being developed, and then you get to see it. Now,
well, that's completely gone out of the, like, that's not even the case anymore.
Yeah, that's what, with
Radical Heights is like, that's completely destroyed any particular
extreme early access.
There being like a development period that isn't public anymore. It's all just out there immediately.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm curious. Like, do they feel this stress and this crunch because they're announcing the game when all they have is drawings and some great ideas and maybe a pedigree behind some of the games that they've worked on in the AAA industry to get the game funded in the first place? Now they're feeling crunch because day one they're being watched.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make this like, this isn't what this podcast is about, but like, I read the synopsis, at least from that article. Yeah. And we can touch on it. But like, the dude is saying the problem is capitalism. Is really what it boils down to. He's basically like, we need to make money to survive. We need to provide that money for ourselves, basically. So we need to work our asses off to the bone to come out with something that people actually want to buy. So if, like, I I understand that there's like a temptation to discuss it within like a video game related context, but I'm pretty sure, and I've followed Scott on Twitter for like 4 years. Pretty sure what the dude is actually using it for is like an opportunity to springboard into a discussion on whether like it's capitalism that's really causing the problem, and if socialism would be a solution for it.
Huh.
I didn't get that from reading that, but
Okay, link me the article's linked in the Skype group.
yeah, no, I read it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not like I then okay. So you've been following him for 4 years, so I think maybe your knowledge of his personality maybe kind of be.
I'm passionate about a lot of things, and I don't kill myself over them. The reason we're killing ourselves is money and deadlines. It's these material constraints.
Yes,
That's capitalism. Yeah.
no, like you. I don't disagree that that's probably his stance on things, but like that's I think maybe a bit of a stretch from what he's just saying in general regarding Night in the Woods. I think the
Wait.
possible to have. Sorry,
no executive is going to say, man, I just hate making money. I hate this. Maybe I can just give it back to the people I work for, and maybe the game can come out next year sometime. There is no opposing force to that isn't someone producing that value they're using to buy a yacht. I think new models have to be made because people are going to die from overwork.
He also talks about how crunch culture is a problem and that it's actually just harmful in general.
I think it's possible to have a conversation about the dangers of crunch culture without necessarily like completely spreading it to the magnitude of communism versus capitalism.
I didn't say communism. I said socialism.
Sorry. Yeah, no.
I think this is like a social. I think he's approaching it from a socialist lens. I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's glorified pain in these cases, I think, is what he's kind of objecting to. The fact that people sort of hold up as the optimal way to do things, that you should put yourself through this stress because somehow that's the right way to do it. That hard work is necessary through sacrifice, but maybe there's a better way that sacrifice doesn't have to be quite as severe. I don't think that's necessarily socialist.
Yeah, like
what you said is not, but what the quotes in the article say, they sound like socialism.
Well, that's what I was taking away from it more so than what you're saying.
So like maybe if I had the knowledge forefront of how this guy has behaved in the past, it would change my like reading of how he's saying these things. But just pulling these quotes directly, it sounds to me like he had an experience that was particularly bad that drove him to feel this way, you know? Like reading it just as an isolated incident, it seems like, wow, these guys were in a hellish environment to be able to get this work done. And I know reading all these articles in the past too, that this is not an outlier in the industry. This is a very common thing. So like, I don't know, like, do you think movies, do you think authors of books, do you think they feel similar levels of crunch time pressure?
Yeah.
Like, I think movies are probably the best comparison, but do you think these studios are like making people work this hard and going?
I mean, like, you want to go to a recent movie as a comedic example. Like, you look at Justice League, right? And they had to do like in 1 or 2 months a ton of reshoots to the point where they had to CGI Superman's mustache off because he was working on another movie at the same time. Like, that it happens everywhere. It's part of more than just our industry. You know, people overwork all the time for creative purposes.
Right.
If indie dev is too much for you, and like at least the crunch is too much, it's too stressful, it's too much of a hit on your financials for a gamble in a game, maybe work in AAA and for a little longer and work on this as a passion side project or as hobbies.
You might not have the opportunity.
Well, that's even worse, I think, is to like to work in AAA and then crunch on like Rise, Son of Rome, and if it succeeds, which it probably won't, then like you receive none of the
I forgot about Rise. Cheers to that.
So like
get laid off.
Exactly. Get laid off when the game doesn't sell.
I'm not saying that AAA doesn't have. I'm not saying AAA doesn't have any crunch, but I'm saying when at least when you're working within a company, you're getting a paycheck, and you're not sitting there thinking, how am I going to eat next week?
I need this to succeed, or I'm gonna.
It's less about it's less about. I'm taking the crunch out of this particular argument right now because other parts of this argument is like we're struggling to eat, we're struggling to make money, blah blah blah. That comes out when you have a paycheck that comes to you regularly, and you're still crunching, but hey, you can eat dinner tonight.
Patreon is another way you can do it, or early access releases if you can. I mean, I don't quite know how Kickstarter funnels their money through, but
Well, that's the thing is like if we're talking about alternative funding sources, that's not even necessarily the issue anymore because Kickstarter being their funding source is sort of what's spurning a lot of their problem is the fact that they're now beholden to thousands of people who, again, feel like they are owed something.
Well, it's not even just that, I guess. It's just like literally what he says is like, you know, you need money to survive. Yeah. So like they could delay Night in the Woods for like 2 years if they wanted to. It's not like it came out and it sucked, right? Like it came out and it's beloved.
And they did delay it, didn't they? Wasn't it?
Did. By like 2 years. Yeah.
So like you can do that, but then you gotta, you know, every penny's got to go a little bit further.
Right.
Which is why when I read the article, I'm at least interpreting it through the lens of like I need to buy groceries and pay my bills and et cetera, et cetera. And that's what leads to the crunch is you're like, I put like 3 years into this thing and it has to be out there by like June or I'm not going to have enough money to like sustain myself.
That'd be like jumping into streaming full time before you can afford it. And then once every Monday at 9 p.m. you stream for ramen. Like I need to eat
specific example.
I don't know.
It would be like a situation in which you got $2 million on the first day you started streaming, and then
5 years later, you're broke.
And then bought a Lambo.
That's what you did. You just like, I got funded to do this. Here's my.
I don't disagree. Like genuinely, I don't disagree that crunch is a problem.
Yeah,
but like I think it's a huge problem in AAA if you're like a salaried developer and you're worth nothing to the company. And if, you know, Battlefront 2 sells 100 million copies, then you get nothing. You know, you get your salary. It's probably still there was another good example. Shane Neville, who's a Vancouver developer, he's making Bunker Punks, got into indie because he was like, I don't want to have crunch anymore. Like I want to be my own boss and have like a better work-life balance. Game comes out on early access. You know, you start reading the forums and you're like, add this sucks. My game's bugged, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden you're working 80, 90 hour weeks just to keep your fan base happy.
Right.
And, you know, I do think that like it has an opportunity to like destroy your health for sure. But it's also not a thing that's unique to games. Like it's true in the software industry at large. It's true in streaming to a large extent. People feel if they take time off, like somebody else is going to pass them, or you know, any time that they're not streaming is basically just like sucking money out of their bank account instead of adding into it. And you know, I'm sure it happens. You know, when I worked at Goodwill, there were people that worked 2 jobs and then they would get like 5 hours of sleep a night and then come back to work at Goodwill.
Same thing in the restaurant industry that was rampant. The amount of people who worked like back-to-back open closes constantly because the money. Like I did that a bunch. Like you go Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday, and you just fucking work Friday night, double Saturday, open Sunday morning because brunch money is good. But you're fucking dead because you just worked straight, basically with minimal sleep. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, what must have really sucked is the indie devs that jumped on board around the time when Steam hadn't quite worked out how they were going to do distribution yet. And they were subject to whatever development time they were in and whatever budgeting they could figure out. And then the system kept changing under their feet. You know, the ground kept shifting and, you know, how do I get this on Steam? Is it going to matter if I get it on Steam? And now we're where we are now, a glut of games, most of them like visual novels and nonsense. And it's like,
doesn't really matter if you get it on Steam anymore.
Yeah, is it
obviously
even
it's still critical.
Well,
but
you have to be on Steam.
You have to be on Steam,
but being on Steam doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But what I mean, the whole thing shifted around them as they were working on this potential game over the last 4 years or so.
Yeah,
and it just must suck to be here now and potentially squander a whole bunch of time and money if that, you know, doesn't end up the way it could have years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sorry to be a downer. I was just thinking about
I gotta be honest, like halfway through that, my brain was immediately like, yeah, but how can we turn this into a positive thing? You know, like, I don't want to all just be a downer here, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Like,
and that's why, like, again, I'm not trying to interpret this in a negative way. That's why I'm like, these are pressures that exist, I think, in pretty much every industry if you run your own business. Yeah. You know, sure, the dream, I guess, is that you make enough money off one product launch that you never have to worry about money again throughout your working life, and B, can work on whatever you want for the rest of your life. But I'm sure if you talk to anybody who owns like a restaurant or a hardware store or anything like that, they're like, yeah, I'm working like 17-hour days to try to make the dream work here.
Yeah. Like when you're the one keeping it together, you don't have a choice of whether or not you want to do it, because if you don't do it, it doesn't happen. in that, like, if you put yourself in that position, I guess you got to be ready for that responsibility, which I suppose can dawn on you in a brutal way sometimes.
And in any industry, if you don't, you always have that fear. If you don't do it, somebody else is gonna.
Yeah. Well,
I want to be clear, like in AAA, it sucks huge, and it still sucks. I imagine in indie dev as well. Like the postmortem, not postmortem, I guess, but the article from Shane was like really an eye-opening one for me to read, because he's like, yeah, pretty much like possibly permanently compromise my health to do bug fixes on my game, and I was like, man, that's crazy. But it's even crazier if you do that to get like a new patch for Gears of War out the door by the date that you promised it, because that's like insane. You gain nothing from that.
Was it Total War Warhammer, I think, was the game maybe like last week or a couple weeks ago that was tweeting about how the developers were just going, under the fucking
that's
finish things because they had a deadline and they didn't meet it. Or was that I thought it was
it a 2K thing?
No,
I feel
it's Warhammer Martyr.
Oh.
It's not, it's total, like Warhammer 40K Martyr, the action RPG.
There's so many 40 like Warhammer games from so many different companies.
It's confusing as hell.
And then everybody was like, don't do that.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying exactly, because like once it became a publicly known thing, they were like, no, we don't want you to die, because then like I don't want to say because then we don't get the game, but that would probably be the first thing.
Don't die, I want your product. Capitalism.
I mean, people are generally empathetic, I believe, and like if they see that this sort of thing is going on, they don't want them to have to go through that experience in order to finish the product, obviously. So I think that like making it more publicly known is, I suppose, one of the few best things we can do in the circumstance. But I also concede that there is a degree to this where you just sort of had to say, yeah, tough luck. Like it's hard as fuck to do things like this. So if you want to get it done, you got to get it done. Yeah, there we go. That's conversation with Night in the Woods developer Scott Benson, talking about the cultural shift that he feels is required in the video game industry, and I guess in our perspective, the entire planet. But we'll see how that goes.
We'll see how this capitalism thing shakes
out.
Eat the rich.
We'll see if they keep it going here in the good old US.
I don't think this is cynical, and maybe this is why I end up being the guy who's always like trying to glorify capitalism, I guess, despite living in the most socialist country out of any of us. But like, as long as there's an opportunity, even in a socialized society, for somebody who works X+1 to get disproportionate benefit, I think you're going to end up with these situations where people are like, I'm going to work an 80-hour week. I'm going to work a 90-hour week because it puts me like a step ahead of other people.
Mm-hmm. And they like, I guess value is different for all folks. If there are people who would rather spend 70 of those 80 hours with, out on a grassy knoll being a doofus.
Maybe phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing probably on the...
Maybe I don't think he was spending 70 hours there. There's probably not a lot of relation.
I didn't know him.
Can I literally can't say the phrase grassy knoll anymore. That is no longer accepted jargon. Fine. God damn it. Lee Harvey Oswald had to fucking steal our words again.
Yep.
That was Lee Harvey, right? I'm getting my history straight there. Doesn't matter. All right. Hey, let's talk Destiny 2 for a few minutes. The Humble Monthly Bundle for June will include Destiny 2, the full unlock. MSRP $59.99. I don't think that's accurate anymore. It's probably more along the lines of like $20 that you can find it pretty much anywhere. But it's going to be free. Not free. You got to subscribe to the Humble Monthly Bundle to be able to get it. But you can do that very thing. Subscribe now to the Humble Monthly Bundle and get Destiny 2, which came out, what was it, 8 months ago, I want to say? Maybe?
September, October,
like
somewhere
September,
in there.
Yeah,
okay. So it was like 8-9 months ago that this game released. I got to be honest, I am shocked completely by how this game is like, at least from the community's perspective, plummeted in popularity. And of course, being on Twitch, we see that like no one is playing it anymore. It's one of the least streamed games of the games that are currently being streamed. And I think it's like dead in the water. And of course, there was another post talking about how the DLC for this game now is going to be reusing campaign maps for like 2 out of the 3 major portions of it, which is pretty awful. And like,
It's so funny.
it's for a studio this huge. I almost have like a personal feeling of betrayal for this too, because I like Youthful Bear really aligned himself with Bungie, the days of Halo back in Yore, and
Marathon.
yeah, it feels like a distant memory now. This is a completely different team, and admittedly a lot of the Bungie folks went over to 343, but still, like, this is just like Bungie's not really looking so hot anymore. Destiny 2 is kind of taking a nosedive, and there's a third one coming still, but it's interesting that this has already gotten to this point.
Well,
Like,
so my idea here is that they're trying to get people on with the Humble Bundle so they'll buy the DLC expansions, right? That's
I still read like the Humble Bundle inclusion as a death sentence, don't you? I was going to say death now.
Well,
but it's too close.
they're admitting it's dead so they can sell the expansions, is what I would guess.
Yeah, man.
It's like a loss leader in that case.
Okay, I suppose that does make sense, but even so, like, it's so surprising to me that this has already gone.
It's more promotion. It's to get more eyes on the game, to have a little bit of spark again.
And that certainly falls in line with the new ideals for AAA, which are get them in and hook them, and then just keep selling them the same shit, which that's certainly what they're doing here. Yeah, but I guess I didn't really have much along the way of conversation for this one, but it is just it's really curious to me how far this has fallen. But at the same time, Activision Blizzard are doing fine. Like, that's sort of why I suppose they don't care about the community response to this, is that they're still making money and their stock price has only gone up. Everything else about it is doing good. I wanted to see numbers for how many people are actively playing it now, which is unfortunately not really accessible. But based again off of the information we have, it's just sort of died off. And this was like a major property too. People were still playing Destiny in the multiple thousands for a long, long time. Even like the DLC for that game was riding high, and then this just brought it to a grinding halt. It is a very surprising turn of events.
I would have guessed too that all of this and the bad publicity would have changed the trajectory of where they could expect to go if they kept going with the series, which they obviously are intending to do.
Right.
But I would also think that by the same token, it's pretty easy to buy into the PR of, hey, we're listening, we're going to change it, make it better. And everybody always wants to give them a chance. When you hit that next major iterative number, Destiny 3 comes out, you go, hey, well, maybe they fixed all the problems. Maybe this will be the return to form that Destiny 2 couldn't pull off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it is or not, you bought it. So
they may just be okay to do that pretty much regardless, right? Like, I don't know if they need to try that hard anymore, but maybe that's an awfully cynical point of view at the same time.
Have they backpedaled at all on the shaders or the microtransactions? I don't think so, right? Like, I know Shadow of War did. I don't think they did, though.
Yeah.
Well, Shadow of War is designed to be like, it might have some games as a service stuff in it, but it's also designed to be like a product. Whereas Destiny 2 is like a platform.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they can back off on selling stuff like that if it's going to be this kind of like evergreen marketplace for them.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well,
we'll see. I in vein of Destiny 2, I will say, like, Destiny 1 was a cool idea. I was really hoping Destiny 2 would take that idea and make it evolve it, and it just didn't, and it just was just more of Destiny 1. I'm not excited to see. I think excited is the wrong term. I am interested in seeing at E3 what I assume will be more Anthem gameplay, because I'm curious if Anthem will do what I was hoping Destiny 2 was going to do, but it's also EA, so I'm also a little nervous about it. So we'll see.
I think I've realized, like, I just don't care about these games. I think
I want to care about these games, but I've never found one that's been good enough for me to care.
Well, I mean,
about.
that's where I'm at. Where I'm like, I feel like for a couple of years I tricked myself into being like, this isn't what I want out of this genre, and I just realized I don't want like
it's just not the game for you. Like,
it
doesn't really appeal.
If one could change my mind, then that's totally fine. But I'm not like a big fan of like a shooter MMO like Borderlands-y style online experience. I think.
See, like I really enjoyed Destiny, and I know that, like, well, thinking back, Destiny 2's live stream announcement, they got like 500,000 viewers or something like that. There was a ton of interest in the game, but it's just not good enough. So I think that it's not even necessarily that you don't like them. I don't know if there's been the ideal loot grind FPS yet. Like
Borderlands for me
was good. It was like, I think it sets the bar, but I think that bar can be elevated significantly.
Yeah. That's why I was hoping Borderlands 2 or the pre-sequel were going to do that, and I don't think either of them did for me personally.
Yeah.
I'm still holding out hope for 3, but I'd much rather play a Borderlands game than Destiny, but they follow such a similar format. I feel like Destiny's okay, at least.
Yeah.
What if, Ryan, they add a DLC for Destiny Battle Royale? Would you try it?
Probably not, honestly. Like
that was like 50% joke, 50% serious, because I could see Destiny doing something like that.
I could see it as well. And I mean, if it popped off, who knows? Like,
yeah,
historically and famously, I was the guy who was like, Fortnite's dead. Like, it stands no chance. But then, like, obviously that turned out to be at least half wrong. So I don't know. I'm not actually convinced anymore that what the AAA companies could do is just like make a mechanically great battle royale. I think one of them could definitely do it and they would have a shot, but I don't know. It kind of seems like a needlessly reductive way to look at the genre. Like, I think people love Fortnite. I mean, there's a room for something to swallow PUBG, which is garbage right now. But like, I think people love Fortnite enough that they're like, yeah, I'll try it. But so many of these games end up coming out and being like flashes in the pan for, a month at most. Yeah. So I'm not sold. Like,
Destiny 2 was that, which is crazy.
Yeah, it hit and then it fizzled really fast.
You know what? It strikes me as like when people, like, you can look at a game, and this is like the quintessential NL rant, because now I'm going to bring up Isaac. First it was the Battle Royales, then it's Isaac. But like, people who are not that into roguelites, sometimes they look at Isaac and they're like, man, some companies should just like do Isaac, but better.
Yeah.
And like, where's like the AAA roguelite that does it? And then, what was the PS4 one? Let It Die is kind of like that, but then people are like, I don't really like it. That people like Isaac. It's incredibly successful. It's not like people are like, it's the best thing available right now. I think that's what PUBG was like for like a year.
Yeah,
but they're just like, it's already in a place where people like it. So I worry that, well, not worry. I think it's going to be tougher for companies to capture that lightning in a bottle than people think it will be.
I don't think there's much to improve upon with Isaac, honestly. I mean, obviously, if you want to improve Isaac itself, you can improve it. But I mean, if someone tries to make a similar game to Isaac, I don't know that they could do it better than it's been done.
Yeah.
Because the emergent language and all of the references you make while you learn the game, that's what makes it interesting.
And then compare that.
No, go ahead.
Compare that to Fortnite in the same vein, where like there's not a lot you can do actually to improve upon Fortnite other than what Epic is doing to improve upon Fortnite. So like the games that are trying to compete with it, like how much is there left to expand upon the idea of Battle Royale and you can build your own structures like that? That is really like a solid foundation. The more I think about it, it's like this game is actually really impressive mechanically and functionally.
And Fortnite's doing what I love to see companies with a successful, like, kind of explosive game come out with, which is they capitalize on what makes them fun or good, if that makes any sense. Like, the simple addition, and maybe it's not so simple, but the fact that they now have Thanos in the game, and it's
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah,
but like that's such a cool. Like, that's it fits Fortnite perfectly. Like, one weapon in the game that turns you into Thanos, and you're powerful, and you can like do these like super jumps, and if you die, you drop the glove, and somebody else becomes Thanos. PUBG can't do something like that. That's just not gonna. It wouldn't work.
That would take them 6 months to do that,
and then it'll be buggy for another 6 months afterward.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like that kind of embrace of what you actually are, not trying to take Fortnite. Be like, oh my god, this is so successful, let's turn it into an esport. That's not what made Fortnite popular, and they saw that and they went the route that made them popular. That's awesome.
Yeah, so like Destiny 2 adding a battle royale is just not really gonna do anything for it, and Destiny 2 adding anything is gonna, well, they need to add something of value, of course, because they can't just add reuse campaign maps. People are gonna call them out for that right away. They got to do like something to get people back, otherwise I don't know what the hell is gonna happen with this one.
Someone in chat mentioned that they're apparently doing a big turnaround come September. I don't know what that entails, but maybe there's something coming up that's worth paying attention to.
Well, if there is, we'll see it in next month at E3, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, like I'm sure they're going to talk about it then. But what else do they? Besides Anthem 2, I guess is the only other big project they got going on right now.
It's 2 different companies.
Yeah, Bungie and BioWare is doing Anthem. So
BioWare's doing Anthem.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Man, my bad.
I don't know what Bungie's working on now. Like, my only guess is Destiny 3.
Which
we know is happening.
Yeah.
So.
Oh boy.
Cool.
Yeah. There we go. Let's go ahead and wrap her up. Talk about what we've been playing this week. We haven't, again, not a lot of new stuff been coming down the pipeline. Sort of just waiting for the new releases. E3 is about a month away as well, so we'll see a lot more information about the new stuff coming around. This is completely out of left field, I know, but there was a trailer that was getting really hot on Reddit this week.
The Predator.
No. It was for Atomic Heart.
I saw that.
Did you end up seeing that one? Yeah. I'd never heard the developer before, Munfish, but it is
Moonfish?
Moonfish, I believe.
Oh, Moon.
It's such a cool...
Mung is the you push down on the
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No, I was gonna say like Bear was saying, the trailer is like a weird mix of BioShock and like Fallout.
Yeah, and it came out of nowhere, and it actually looks like pretty phenomenal. So
hopefully it's gonna be good.
Stoked about that, but
it looks cool.
So yeah, for E3, looking at a lot of really interesting games for that. We'll be closer and closer to that soon here, but of course, right now we'll just talk about what we've been playing for this week. Anybody want to take it off? I think Mathis, you've been playing a little bit more of Force 1.0, right?
Yeah, I've really been playing two things right now. I've been back like fucking balls deep into Isaac again, which is I unlocked Bone Bro and completed his post-it note really quickly.
Yeah, how you digging the booster?
It's reinvigorated my love for Isaac again, which I did not think could happen. And a lot of that is just playing as the Bone Man, the Forgotten. His synergy, like what keeps impressing me every time I play is the amount of detail they've paid to him and his specific synergies, because he's such a unique character.
Yeah.
One synergy that I came across was Ludovico technique as Bone Bro. I've
Boner
watched,
Lord.
I was literally I've watched 10 minutes of one of Ryan's episodes, and Bone Lord is just like in my head, and I hate it. But the idea of like Ludovico technique, or Ludovico, however you say it, you usually move the tier around, but with the Forgotten, he gets to smack it like a pong ball, and it bounces around the room.
Oh,
and like
that's cool. I like
just
that.
like little shit like that. I'm like, I didn't think they thought of that. That's really cool. Really loving it, and I'm having a great time playing the game again, which is great.
Yeah, and then how's the Forest?
Forest is okay. So Forest, I played like 3 years ago, came out of early access, and I'm having fun with it. But that's because I'm a sucker for like decent survival games that are not like trash tier.
Okay.
And what's really enjoyable, like every survival game has a gimmick that has to like try and hook you. It can't just be a survival game anymore. And like the gimmick for the Forest is that
it's in a forest.
It's in a forest.
It is.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
I know, surprising. From before, when I played in early access, there was like cannibals on the island, and they would just attack you and try and kill you. Now, the way the cannibals work, there's different tribes of cannibals, and they all work and act differently. And they will come and watch you, or attack you, or some will just come up here and like swing at you once and then run away and see how you react. So each cannibal tribe has different personalities associated with them, and when you start to recognize which ones are which, when they are watching you and stuff, you have the like how you interact with them will determine how they start acting with you. So first they'll try and find you. If they find your camp, they'll now know where you are, and they will regularly come and check up on you. Some will try and kill you, some will just try and watch you. Then you make a decision. All right, do I want to stay here? Do I want to leave? Do I want to set up a camp elsewhere? And you just start to learn, all right, those are the ones that are just violent immediately, so I'm just going to chase them down and beat them up and kill them, and hopefully they don't leave me alone. But if you do that and one of them gets away, the rest of that tribe is going to be much more aggressive to you from here on out. So it's that interesting balance of like building a home, doing your typical survival stuff, eating, drinking, trying not to die, mixed with these more nuanced interactions with the AI on the island, make it a little bit more of a tense experience, and a more of a interesting one, because they can you sleep in the game and you can wake up and they're like there right in the edge of the woods watching you and seeing what you're gonna do, and they can climb trees and stuff, so they could be jumping from tree to tree and you don't notice it until you see like leaves shaking and stuff.
Shit.
Like those, it's just enough to really make it really interesting and really fun, and I've been having a good time with it. And it is creepy. Chat's like, that's scary. Oh, it is. Some of them don't make noise, and they crouch on all fours and they just kind of watch you, and you can barely see them.
I thought you were gonna say like you're sleeping, you wake up and one's just like
No,
here.
that happens.
Hey, what are you doing?
They'll wake you up and try and kill you in your sleep if they're ones that hate you. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. I surprisingly think it's done well because I kind of wrote off the Forest like 2 years ago. I'm like, this game is dead. They're not going to finish it, whatever. And surprise, they actually did.
Good.
It's cool.
That's awesome. That good sign for early access games again.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you go in the caves and you light a flare, does the frame rate drop to 0? Or
I have yet to go into a cave. I found a couple, but I'm not ready. I haven't armed myself properly. I'll let you know. As of right now, the game has been running at a smooth 60 the whole time.
I'm being hyperbolic, of course, but like it was actually moderately unplayable at times because it just couldn't handle the reflections for some reason.
Yep.
Reminded me of Blight Town.
Oh God.
When you
Chat is saying it doesn't, so
that's good. When you said that you're just a sucker for decent survival games, that immediately made me think like, oh, I'm not gonna play this because I'm not a sucker.
I mean, The Long Dark, man, like one of my favorite survival
at the
games.
same time, talking about those cannibals was like, okay, that's an interesting mechanic. I could maybe be persuaded to try that out. But
yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
It's scary.
Ryan, what have you been playing this week?
Take a guess.
Oh,
Isaac.
No.
A little bit of Minecraft, huh? You getting the itch again?
Slay the Spire.
What's that game that Ryan played?
Dota
The
2.
Tumbleseed.
Right,
Oh,
Tumbleseed.
yeah, Tumbleseed. I love Tumbleseed.
What's
another game? He played Grey's Anatomy. Remember when he played Grey's
Anatomy?
Anatomy? He did that on YouTube too.
As is often the case, I played a lot of Isaac, and I played a lot of Slay the Spire, and I played less than a lot, but still a decent amount of Dead Cells and Super Mega Baseball 2. I've been playing like a lot of board games this week.
Yeah.
Actually.
Codenames is real fun.
Yeah, Codenames is cool. In Meat Space, like we've got this Pandemic Legacy campaign that we're actually finally making some progress on.
Nice.
And that game is interesting and kind of like daunting, but fun nonetheless. We've been playing a lot of Splendor. Kate and I got this board game called Fog of Love that is like a semi-competitive, semi-cooperative like relationship simulator where you basically like role play as two people that are in a couple together, and you have like ambitions and like things that fulfill you, and then these situations come up that are like, what would you do in this situation as your character?
So
and then when you
relationship
like,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Not at all, no. Like 0%. And then you like, you both make decisions, you flip it over, and then like you move tokens around based on how you got it. It's cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Like it. How did you've been doing like all of the dailies, I assume, for Slay the Spire, right?
Yeah.
Did you do the one, I think it was even maybe today's, that was that Alchemize run where you just have like 15 Alchemize cards?
Yeah, the Brewmaster.
Yeah.
It's cool, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk about, we talk about Slay the Spire every week. So like,
I just picked it up though. So wow. I started diving in a little bit.
I'm like, hey, they added a new daily modifier. We don't need to talk about that for like any more than 10 seconds. Honestly.
They did add new potions though, so I was just gonna say
they did add a bunch of new potions. You're not wrong.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Nick, what you been playing?
So my last week or so has been largely Meat Space oriented. So we did
we're really going with that now, huh? All right.
The Super Mega Baseball tournament happened, and then after that, I haven't played much of anything aside from the NLSS and my usual mobile game grind. But in Hyper Heroes, I got my first orange. My Slashy Bushi finally upgraded to orange.
All right,
Dude.
there we go.
And I unlocked Tinder Babe, which is a huge deal because you gotta get her by getting to VIP level 7, or you gotta go through this big long process of unlocking her, doing elite grind essentially for like months. So I finally unlocked Tinder Babe, and she's level 80. She's not part of my crew yet, but she's gonna be soon. Once I phase out my Flame Dame.
Of course.
Yeah, my Flame Dame is good, but I need a lot more materials before I can get my Tinder Babe up to the same level.
Okay.
I know this is ridiculous, but like I've been grinding this game for over a year, and this actually means things to me. Even though
I'm sure there's a few people in chat who were thrilled for you. Absolutely.
This is like my Summoner's War that I took seriously for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So
getting an orange is actually a big deal, and I'm a guild leader. And thank you to anybody that watches that joined my guild on the Gold Fox. Well, that's the name of the guild.
You want to try to recruit some members here? What's the info they need?
I'm down to 16 members right now. If you want to join up,
those numbers.
It's NA 47 server. You can still get in. I have a level 30, I think is the minimum to join the guild, and you can help work towards the guild stuff. I kick people if they don't contribute after a month.
Wow,
which I think is fair.
Love that. Love that Iron Fist.
Yeah, I think it's fair because like it doesn't cost you anything to join the guild, and
sure.
you can rejoin if you come back. I just don't want people sitting in there not doing anything.
Keep folks active.
The other thing is I've been playing Idle Drops on my phone as well. It's a little iterative game about little balls that fall down like Plinko, and they fall into little holes. I'll actually just show it to you right now. It's just loading up.
Please do. You can get a visual aid here.
Yeah.
I love that about the mobile.
Let's collect.
I thought for sure a game named Idle Boxes would just be like what
Idle Drops
about, where you just or Idle Drops, where you just get loot crates that drop from the sky or something. Oh, and you just watch them?
Yeah, so you can tap on the screen and then more balls will fall down.
That's the whole thing.
Well, no. So you level up, and as you level up, you try to unlock more and more expensive balls that contribute more towards your point total. At the top, you can see I'm at level 97.
Wow.
But it does a prestige system. So every like 30
It's
levels.
a prestige system.
Yeah, and there's a story too. Every 30 or so levels, when you max it out, you unlock another piece of the story, and then it starts you back at 0, but you get to keep all your progress with what you bought. So you just get to go further and further. But you eventually reach a point where there's just no more balls to buy, so you just have to grind at that point. And that's where I'm at now.
Grind
and it's
for balls.
really frustrating.
You got to get them balls ground up, man.
But I love iterative games, and this one is just really fun to look at, and it's kind of soothing as well.
Visually satisfying, I'll give you that. Yeah,
it's got a bunch of screens. I think as you go through each level, it'll put in a new screen, and then you can watch. There's like interactive ones where it'll like do a pinwheel. Physics-enabled objects will rotate around and stuff.
I don't know what's more wholesome, the game or your enthusiasm for it.
Oh yeah, I'm all about how excited he is about it. Genuinely,
I'm prestige level 5, and I'm going for a world record if possible. Let me see what my score is right now on the leaderboard.
Please do.
It's loading up.
Top 100.
I'm so close. I'm at 110 right now.
Oh,
getting there.
You gotta get on.
If I put another 2 or 3 days, a solid like 3 hours of doing this, I think I could get in the top 100.
I like how you've got it mathematically figured out.
I do. I do this until my wrist hurts, and then I turn it off.
You guys ever been top 100 in something in a ranked experience online before? I know you remembered it if you did.
Then clearly not.
You know,
I really wanted to be in Geometry Wars, but I never made it.
I'll say Ryan, an Isaac Daily for you at least.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Like Twitch viewer count.
There you go. You got it. I remember. Do you know Amplified on the PS4, that music rhythm game that Harmonix put out a few years ago?
Vaguely.
I ended up in the top 100 overall for that after playing through it. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry I talk so long about that. I don't know. It's just what I'm into is like stupid games sometimes, and those.
There's nothing wrong with it, man.
Yeah.
Your enthusiasm was contagious.
I love Pachinko.
I actually had a very, very pleasant experience playing Halo Online this week.
Nice.
That has been in the what is the word I'm looking for? I guess the conversation for a while. People talking about the El Dorito mod and the Halo Online experience. I've talked quite a bit about how much I love Halo, particularly Halo 2 and Halo 3. I'd spent hours and hours playing those. I didn't realize this was Halo 3, though. I thought this was the first Halo that they had remade. But no, they remade the Halo 3 multiplayer experience for PC. And I tried it. It's better than playing Halo 3 on the 360. Like, it blows my mind. They made it not only extremely impressive in its responsiveness and like the controls are mapped exactly the way they were before, and it registers shots so well. It's insane to me that they were able to do that part so effectively. But just like every other little facet too is so great. Like being able to chat now in game and like the voice chat, like I was obviously going to turn it off had I realized that it was a thing, but I was subjected to it a few times and it's like crystal clear. And it's like, wow, I'm not on Xbox 360 anymore. It's the future. It's wonderful. Like, it's so great. I was thrilled with it. I might even stream it a couple of times. I don't know actually like the legality of that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay, I won't do that.
I'll play with you offline, like off.
That's good too. Yeah, okay.
I kind of want to play it.
I was really impressed. Like I played a few games and they have dedicated servers for it, so you don't have to worry about like hosting your own thing. You don't have to port forward or any of that nonsense anymore. Like you download a couple of things and that's it. You're good to go. Like it is really impressive, and I had a lot of fun with it. I had a big smile on my face as soon as I started playing, and it just like immediately. Well, like I also subconsciously just did this. Like I was sitting normally, as soon as the game started up, I was like, "Oh, here we go! I'm into it." Like
drawn in,
back in Halo mode, and it felt so cool. And as soon as I got my first kill, I was like, "It's Halo! Oh my god, it's Halo! I'm playing again." So it was a fun nostalgia trip for me. And yeah, Nick, we should play it absolutely.
Can we do private games and invite viewers, or is that a?
I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
But you just got to download it too, obviously.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that's what I've been checking out. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and also been playing some Spire dailies as mentioned. Not a ton else though. I've been digging Super Mega Baseball 2 as kind of a little bit of an offline game every now and then. I started up a season in that, trying to ascend the ego ranks a little bit. I'm up to 60 now. That feels like an adequate challenge, but that game's got me a bit. I'm digging it.
Shout out to our match, probably the best one of the tournament.
It was so good. Oh my goodness.
High scoring game, very exciting. I urge you to watch it if you haven't.
Absolutely. Highly recommended. That's going to be wrapping up soon. If you haven't checked out the new Tournament of Shame for Super Mega Baseball 2, it's a good time. I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this week's episode though. Sorry folks, not a ton of stuff to dive into this week, but a few good conversations all the same. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're having a wonderful evening and enjoy your weekend. And we want to say, of course, thank you very much to those of you who are supporting the show.
Hell yeah.
/Roundtable podcast. You can support the show over on patreon.com/roundtable, where Mathis, you go ahead and let us know who's supporting at that $20 tier and above, please.
Yeah, big thank you to Dork Lord. God, I like that name a lot. Even it's so simple.
Thank you, Dork Lord. The new pledge as well. It's a big time pledge. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Julian Avelsgard, Scrotty119, Ricky Grist, Mike Shannon, Brizzle Brip, Mediocrities, Justin, Jin, Like I've Been There Before, Falco, Simmerfet. I'm curious what the next song is going to be after this one.
Yeah, he's got a good track going.
Simmerfet, Cowboy Chemist, Eric Schooley, Stephen Aoki, James Peed, Peter Sunderson, Ellis Spice, John Kalchik, Otamaz, Games BR, Jakar Sampson with the Damps number, Cole Noir, Talks to All, Kobe Klein, Greenlight, and Oren Saltzman. And a big thanks to all our subscribers for today on the Twitch channel. For anyway, the ones that Streamlab decided to record at the very least. Anaria, Super Mega Loser, SJ Sampler, PP Mav, Berg One Nan. This is more complicated. Yeah, Berg One. Let's see, Zero Frictions, Grave Indignation, Stream Cap, and Rackaway. And
this is me at the end of every stream too. I'm leaning into my monitor. I'm like, what character is that?
Yeah. And also a big thank you to Northern Lion's Hair for gifting like 4 subs today. So,
hell yeah. Hey, that's very nice.
Appreciate it.
One quick thing I did forget to mention too. I won't even really get into it too much, but we got a taste of Risk of Rain 2. Some dev footage was released a couple of days ago. I don't know if you guys got the chance to check it out, but it looks really good. Like I'm excited for it. Basically 3D Risk of Rain, and it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, hopefully that'll be coming around the corner soon. But that'll wrap up this episode of Roundtable Live. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later.